Hello and happy Friday, everyone. Here we are with Waking God's Child YouTube channel, and I'm here with my co-host Candy Nelson
Hey
and
guys.
Lisa Hicks. And I'd like to start out by saying sorry, we're getting a late start again. In fact, if you haven't noticed, this is probably going to happen a lot because we have lives. So, with that said, we are just glad to be here. We're glad that are tuning in. So happy to have you and see you. And those that might tune in later, we're just thrilled that you came. And with that said, I'm getting ready to turn this over to Candy Nelson because she's got some really great recipes to share with y'all. If you hadn't noticed, it says Morgellons Prepper on the how-to. A lot of people are talking about preparing, right? I mean, that could be on any level, whether you're a believer or not. Doesn't really matter. The truth be told in all of that is that these things are good for anyone to know and have and utilize. Well, Candy's got the remedies for our skin level, for our body level, for our internal, external, and she's got a lot of recipes that I think everybody could use and apply to their own lives. That you probably see some drastic, really great changes in your life. So, with that said, Candy, I am getting ready to bring this over to you. So, your turn.
Okay.
Go.
Well, I'm going to start out with the simplest thing, which that is the basic just making your own soap. So, what I found was at the craft stores, they have this glycerin base. It's just called Melt and Pour soap. It's glycerin base. And I buy mine in the bulk container because I make a lot of it. But you can buy them in like 1 pound blocks, 5 pound blocks, 10 pound blocks. So anyway, you just cut that base up, and what I do is I don't like melting them in the microwave because for some reason it just doesn't hold the essential oil scents that I put into it. But I chop it up, and I have little coffee pots that I got from the thrift store, and I put the chunks in these little coffee pots and I melt that down first. And then after that gets fully melted, you can buy like soap colorant if you, you know,
Choose
with
to.
me. I like to add colors. Like if it's orange essential oil, then I add orange colorant. If it's lemon, I add yellow, so it just kind of helps make them prettier, especially because, I do have my craft booths I do twice a year.
Can I
But
ask you a question real quick? Because
yeah,
this is something I know that the others are going to ask, and I've asked you before, so I know the answer. But can you tell everyone with those coffee pots that you yourself purchase at the thrift store, because we see them all the time, right? When we go thrift shopping or whatever, do you
yeah.
put that directly on your stovetop, or do you actually put it? I mean, for heating, how do you use?
No,
What's
this
your
is
method in
just
that?
the little electric coffee pots that has a little hot plate on the bottom. It's the old
It's the old
fashioned
school time,
one.
not the Keurig, right? So you
Yeah,
use the
no,
actual burner on that.
no, it's the old ones in which everybody's getting this new Keurig anyway. So
Yeah.
it's like they're donating these left and right.
Yeah, there's like
So
50 on the shelf here in our Goodwill, by the way. So
yeah,
yeah, I was just curious. Well, I mean, I
yeah,
know you and I talk, so now I know. But I
yeah.
think people will think like I thought at first. Like, do you put them directly on your stovetop, or do you use it on the coffee maker itself?
And
So
I don't. Well, and I don't use the little basket piece at all. I don't even use that at
don't need
all.
it. But the
So
the burner on that works. The warmer works good enough to melt it,
yeah,
right?
because all you're doing is you're melting. It's called
Okay.
melt and pour. That's all you do is you melt.
Right, because
And
I think like
so,
I thought that would never be hot enough to melt. That was the first thing when you and I first talked about that a couple of years ago. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that you actually use the whole coffee pot and it's the burner on bottom, but you don't need the basket. There's nothing going in the basket, but you melt the ingredients right there on the burner inside that glass pot, right?
correct.
Okay, that's why I just want to make sure they know that too. So, all
And
right,
like I
sorry
said,
about that.
it's very simple. But the one thing that I did learn is, the little plastic molds that you buy from the craft store. They have some like a Hobby Lobby. They have some hanging that are like a clear plastic. Don't ever buy those
Oh,
because basically, if you use the ones that are clear, you pour your first soaps into it, and when you go to pop them out, usually they'll crack either the first or second time, so they're not reusable.
right.
Um, what I found is the other molds. that are kind of like they're white, but they're like a frosty white. They're not clear.
They have some sort of compound that makes them the colorant in them. Then,
I've used those like 1,000 times. I mean, I still have those.
so there's
So
something to that.
yeah, you can use those like over and over and over again. I wash them and just reuse them, let them dry, reuse them.
So
So
like the clear silicone base sounds like it's something to that clear silicone base product.
it's not even a silicone. It's more like I said, like a hard plastic. You know, like when you buy
Right,
something in a
but the
store and
clear
it's
one
got,
that you're talking about must have some sort of a silica that's make it's directly clear, right? But
it's
those
just
that do not work, the ones that don't work, right?
like a well, you know, like a regular water bottle, plastic water bottle.
Right, yeah.
You know how that's clear and it's like that flimsy plastic.
That's why I was thinking it was silica, something about the silica, or maybe whatever they use to make it clear. It's like there's no coloring, obviously, but
Well,
it
like I said,
doesn't bond
they're
right
just
or
not
collect.
they're not good quality at all. You know, I learned that the hard way because I was like, oh, well, used it once, maybe twice, and then I had to wind up throwing it away.
And you saved a lot of people money right there by just saying that. So thank you.
Yeah, and I will get those the molds too and show you in just a minute which ones. But so anyway, the coffee pots, like I said, you can get those at the thrift store, $2 or $3. No big deal. You know, you're just gonna melt soap in it, and guess what? It doesn't matter even if you want to fix some coffee in it. All you do is wash it out, you know, because it's soap. You just wash it out, and if you wanted to put the basket in there and throw coffee in there, you can, because you
Yep.
never use the basket. You know,
That makes sense. That's a great thought there. That makes sense. You don't even. It's like it is soap. Why do you need soap to wash it? It is already soap.
and so basically, you melt and pour soap, and then after it gets fully melted, and for me personally, I mean, I like to really add a lot of whatever oil I'm using because I just like to make it really strong
Yeah, I like smells.
because
Yeah, that's so
it
good.
really just lasts so much longer that way and it smells so good rather than trying to skim it and then you're not getting the same effect. You know, it's just not the same quality to me if you just kind of put a few drops in there and because you're trying to save a few bucks. I'm like, I'd rather add more.
For our skin and the agony with it, we deserve that smell. Dang it! We
And
gotta have
I've
a
had
good stench.
and then you know, anyway, so you get those frosty little molds, and like I said, they're just a few dollars at the hobby store. And then after you melt that, you add your oil, whatever color. They have the little soap colorants that you buy. You mix that all in together, get it to the smell you want, you get it to the color that you want. Once you've done that, then you pour it into the molds. And oh, another thing, you want to make sure that when you put your molds onto whatever countertop that you're pouring it into, it needs to be level. Because if it's not level, it's going to be um, it's going to be like thin on one end and thicker on the other. So it's going to look funky, you know. But what I did for that was I went and bought at the hardware store. I bought 16 by 16 floor tiles that are flat, and then I went and bought the slanted door shims. And
There
so
you
I
go.
put them up underneath the tiles and put
Genius.
my level on there. And so no matter whether I'm using my resin or whether I'm pouring soap, no matter what I'm using, it's going to be level. Because
Okay,
with
so
the resin, you can't.
just to give you an idea of what she's talking about, by the way, these are candies. She doesn't know I bought them for her, but now she does. These are small ones, like the sample soaps we were talking about, right? But I thought,
Yeah.
man, candy can do so much with those. So you got like pineapples here, but I mean, this one has, it's just like a thick silicone lace. So to see how it's colored, right? So it's
Yeah.
colored, and she's talking about if it was clear, that's not a good quality. But for whatever reason, the ones that are colored like this happens to be, honestly, I'd say this is bright orange maybe, or peach, or I don't know what you want to call it. But it's got like your little different designs, and you can buy all sorts of those, right, Candy? You've got like every. I know you use the big ones, but I thought, wouldn't it be cool to like just have these little pop outs for like, even if you wanted to make like bath bombs, I bet you could do a lot of cool little things with these too, right?
Yeah.
But the concept is, there's the mold she's talking about, I think, and you can buy them in all shapes, sizes, and just don't get the clear, she said.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, for my bars of soap, when you pour it into the mold, the liquid is 4 ounces.
Okay.
But then when the volume is different. So like I weighed it afterwards, and well, not necessarily the soaps, maybe the salves. So even though like when I got my little tins and I measure how much water is going into the tin, there's a liquid 4 ounces. But then when you weigh it, it's not 4 ounces because the volume is different. So once it thickens and it hardens, it's a different weight.
Right.
So, but anyway, so back to the leveling part. Like I said, I use my tables for making the soap, pouring my resin. So I have those 16 by 16 ceramic tiles, less than $5. I've got 3 of them on my table with the door shims.
Can't beat that.
No matter what I'm leveling, and even if I wanted to move it to my counter in the kitchen, which is not level at all, it's like way imbalanced. You know, I could actually adjust it with the door shims. So it's portable. I can move it anywhere. I don't have to worry about trying to level the table and putting stuff up.
If they have a level countertop or an island, obviously they could use that and they wouldn't have to worry about it, right? But
Right.
some of us do not always have that. So she was like, talk about a jack of all trades. She even figured out how to like just inexpensively level that out with shims and tile work. So I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Well, thank you. I was like,
This
I was
is
so
supposed to go
aggravated.
to you, by the way, and it got shipped here accidentally. So that made me mad.
Well, the funny part is like I said, I was trying to do my resin projects, pouring that resin, and like I would do it like a little alpha letter, and it would be like thin on one end and thick on the other, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to work here. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
And so people were going out and buying like leveling tables that you adjust the little knobs to get it to level and everything. I was like, man, I don't have that kind of money.
Where's that time? Like,
right, let's go get some ceramic tile.
that's
So
yeah.
So anyway, so then you pour the soap after you get it to the right color and the right scent that you want with the oil. You pour it into the molds. Well, when you do that, you're gonna have like air bubbles on top. I have a little tiny spray bottle that I have alcohol in. Now they're selling like the 50% alcohol, the 70%. I like the 90%, you know, because I even use it for my resin projects too when there's air bubbles. So you just take the alcohol and you spray it on the top of the soap, and what it does is it pops the air bubbles.
Interesting.
And as the soap itself cures and hardens, then the alcohol itself evaporates off the soap. So it's not in the soap. So it just evaporates off as it hardens.
That's a great idea. I'll show you this. Hold on. I have one of your soaps left right here that I've been savoring that I took to my new house, and I just had to go grab it. Hold on a second. I'm gonna pull this up here. I gotta show you kind of like the concept that she does. So this one I've been holding on to for a while. This is the activated charcoal. You can see it. Let me put. Well, I guess I gotta put myself up here, don't I? So maybe now, maybe not. Okay, right there. So this is the one she made. That's activated charcoal. She actually sent me 2 of these, I think is what it was. So this is one I've been savoring. I've got it in my new house. This was in my shower. I just unpacked it, believe it or not, today. And so she had sent me this, and I mean, look at how I'm going to unwrap it because I'm going to use it anyway. But
well, let me explain to them what that is. That's a wax deli sheet. I go to the restaurant supply and buy like a box of 5,000 of those little wax sheets. So when I pop those molds of the soaps out, I just pop them right onto that wax sheet so I don't touch it. And then I just fold it up and throw the label on it.
Like it's smooth all the way around. I don't know. I'm probably not doing it any justice right now, but like,
and that's real activated charcoal in that.
And that's what I thought, and that's why I kind of savored this, because I thought that's the most unique idea. Like, who would have thought to do a soap with activated? I mean, we have toothpaste stuff like, but I mean, this kind of like a bar soap right here, and I mean, it feels good, and when you put it on your body when you're showering or whatever, I mean, it's very soft, and it like leaves your skin feeling soft. But
and
I mean,
it's black. It's black. When you're washing, it's black.
Yeah, it is, but it washes clean, and it's just like I said, I've been saving this, and when I moved to the house, I knew I had packed it to use over here, And this in particularly, I finally found it today, this morning, about 8 a.m. So, but I thought, well, we're talking about it. I got to show that. But like, this is just like nothing compared to what she makes. Like, this is one of many, but you guys can do it, is what she's saying. And it's good to
Well,
know. I mean, for
and
any.
just to be honest, like I said, the essential oils, doing those are easy because it's a liquid. But when
Yeah.
you're talking about doing the activated charcoal, I also did 20 mil team borax. I did colloidal oatmeal. When you're
Oh
talking
wow.
about adding solid ingredients, it is a whole different process, and
You
it's
gotta.
like it's a
I don't even know
headache.
how you do that. I
Yeah,
really
it's
that's
a
my job.
headache because it doesn't want to mix. The solid stuff wants to settle into the
That's what
bottom.
I would think, and that's why I was shocked that you got that bar so perfectly blackened. I mean, you can't see any, like you would not know that it's all one color. So I don't know how you did that, but that's amazing. And
It
activated
was
charcoal is not easy anyway.
well, and like I said, what I do is I buy the activated charcoal actually from the pet food stores.
Yes, thank you,
See,
because I bought my big bulk thing of it, and I have been using the heck out of it.
and so
That's so smart.
well, and my friend Paul gave me a bunch of it here a while back, and he's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. He's like, you want it? I was like, yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So when he gave it to me, it had like chunks of activated charcoal in it. And I found at the thrift store one of those old sifters, the metal ones that our grandmas used to
Oh,
use.
yeah, I have one of those.
And I put it all in that sifter, and I just did that and
No idea.
put it in a bowl. And then after I sifted out all the big chunks, I just poured the stuff that was usable back into a container and put a lid on it and threw the rest in the trash. And
That's
it's
awesome. I would have never thought, like, all your trial and error is helping people out. They don't even have to like do the trial and or error. They get to, you guys, like from her, you get to skip right over the error part and get to the good stuff. So
well, I'm just saying, if you guys are going to try to make the soap, start out with the essential oils. Do not start out with these solid
charcoal.
ingredients. It is hard. It's tough. And then another thing too, I did one time. This is pretty crazy. I had a bunch of aloe plants, and I was like, so I went out and I took a potato slicer and went down and got all the thorns off the edges,
Ooh,
and then I got all
you
the
grated
skin.
it?
I got all the skin off of it, threw it in my food processor, and I pushed the button, just pulverized it all up. And then I got the soap that I had melted, mixed it in the soap, and poured it right into the molds,
Oh
and
my
made
God.
fresh aloe
That's
soap.
actually awesome. That's a really cool idea. You could do that
And
with
that was
yucca or plantain or mullein. You need to next try the mullein that you've been into lately. I bet that would make a great soap, huh?
well with that too. It's a little different because it's actual leaves,
Oh,
and
that's kind
so
of a way to pulverize those, huh? Not,
yeah, it's kind of hard. And then like a lot of times people will put like solid ingredients into their soap, but then if
you're
it's
not
like
getting
you're
it though.
washing with it and it's not dissolving completely,
Yeah.
it's going to be in your drain, and I
But
don't
how do
like
you
doing
get the oil out of leaf and stuff? I'm just curious. I mean, I kind of know, but I bet a lot of people wonder, how can you get the oils from, your fruits, your vegetables, your leaves, your anything? I mean, there's a way to extract oil, and it takes a lot. But I know and I'm just wondering if you could give us a night, because you are really great at figuring these like shortcuts out or easier ways to go about it. So I know you got to know this.
No, actually I don't know. I just kind of wing it. But
Well, that's how you figure. I'm telling you. So we're gonna go after what you say, because I'll tell you everything you said so far works. So
so well, anyway, with okay, first of all, like I said, I'm not going to use like the weeds into the soap because it's
right,
two different consistencies.
yeah.
So
It's not even the leaves
what,
themselves that's
when you're
working,
talking
right?
about
It's
the
the extract.
weeds, when you're talking about the weeds, you're talking about the salves, not the soap. That's a whole different ballgame.
That's actually, yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Let me see.
Because you showed me some pictures and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, that looks awesome."
This is the Beauty Berry salve, and it's green. You can see it's green. And then you can't see it in this one because I've used it, but when you make this and you first pour it in there, as it cures, you get the shape of the honeycomb is like in.
That's what we were talking about with the honey, the wax that you buy, and the memory in it, and what do they call that again? I always
you can barely see some of the comb shape around the edge there that I haven't used. But not that well. I mean, I'm sorry, the lighting's bad. Maybe if
that's just awesome.
Let me see if I can get my flashlight on. Let's see if we can see it better.
Let's see if I can see it. I put my googly eyes on.
Okay. You can't. You can see it's green better, but can't see the see the little circles.
I mean that is just unbelievable.
But this is an insect repellent. This is the Beauty Berry insect repellent.
It's like a quantum memory. That's just crazy that the wax from a bee's hive, because if it's got the hexagons all through there, I mean, it's like a quantum memory, and it's just built into it. It's obviously we have all sorts of things built into our DNA, but in the bees, circumstances, that's just crazy how. I wonder if I just go spit right now on the ground, if it'll form a little miniature me. I'm just totally kidding right now, though. But I mean, isn't it crazy how things can work? It's to me, it's mind blowing. But the salve that you done, mosquito salve too.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but it's like I don't know if you've ever noticed this or not, but sometimes like I will spit outside and then go back a little bit later, and when it's like dried and it's kind of like it's like this thick, filmy, crystallized stuff.
It totally changed. That's actually why I said that. I mean, I kind of know you Morgellons people will understand that. Your blood does the same thing. It's like whatever, especially with Morgellons. It is Morgellons, but I mean, it crystallizes to some respect. Absolutely. And I've watched my own blood, take on its own response, so to say. Like I literally watched my blood, a drop of blood, rise up from the floor. It was like a little drop that, obviously when we have Morgellons, apparently we're dumped pickers and self-mutilation, blah, 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 which is a bunch of bull pucky right there. But I'm going to go with the fact that there was a drop of blood. And I have it on video too. I watched this thing change so many shapes, and all of a sudden it became this thick consistency from what was a puddle of blood, kind of not floor level, but, flattish, to rising up to being like a puffy crystalline structure. And I thought the thing was going to grow legs and walk off. I mean, so for people that want to say nay, come over here. Let me give you a big old hug while I just poke a hole in my arm and put a little bit of blood on you. See how much you love me then. And you'll believe me. You believe me. Or you wouldn't hug me. I know, because nobody would hug me. Though, I mean, there's something to be said with the saliva, the body fluids in general, right? I think that there's something with Morgellons and just actually our whole chemical DNA makeup has changed without a doubt. Like, and I know we're crystalline beings kind of anyway, but I mean, we weren't trying to be petrified last time I checked, and I'm petrified of the whole thing, no pun intended. But isn't it crazy how that works? If you think about these things, we're just talking about how things that are good for you or healthy are the color green. Are they not? I mean, it seems like, because Candy and I were earlier, we're talking about mullein green, oregano green, thyme green. All the things that are good for you are typically of the green color, and then they come up with green foods, right? And if you think about it, there's antioxidants like crazy in those. You still get your, your probiotics. There's so many healthy elements to green, to the color green as far as food goes, but I'm not talking like a sour apple sucker or anything like that. I'm talking about actual green food that grows from the earth, and there's something to be said with that. Aloe's green. I mean, there's so many green
tea tree, oregano.
you think about this though, and there's something.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab those molds real quick. I'll be right back.
You go grab your mold. I'm gonna grab my bra could be used as a mold. It's just gonna be a small one. That's all. It's not a big deal though. Fine. Who's counting? Okay. So speaking of though, I mean, I'm gonna go back to just the quantum memory of beeswax. We've had this conversation before, and I don't even know that I'll ever get over it. But I mean, if beeswax can go back to its original hexagonal formation, after you melt it down, you pluck it from the bee's hive, you melt it down, and then all of a sudden it's got this memory. It's like, bam, I am a hexagon again, and multi-layered hexagon, multi-leveled hexagon on that matter. But can you imagine what our own DNA is if that's from a bee, which is form and hexagons obviously in your alchemy and everything else. But can you imagine what ours is? Like it's obviously easily identifiable, but when we're long gone, we know we can pull DNA and and figure out later on, like years later, what happened in the 70s, who the killer was by DNA extract or fingerprint samples or just any bodily fluid samples, right? But what are they really seeing? What does the human quantum DNA actually look like? It's just a crazy concept. And I know that there's a few of you out there that know your science and know what I'm talking about. In fact, know it way better. But if you do, please leave a comment because I love stuff like that. I'm always just thinking that's how we grow and learn. That is cool. That's the clear, right? Or the not? No, that's
this is the frosted one. See, it's not clear. It's frosted, like it's a
not silicone see-through type.
Right. These are good because, like I said, I've used these over and over, and see, they get a little, I mean, like I said, no cracks or anything. Yeah, and they last. So I use the bigger ones because those are the bigger bars. Those are full-size bars. And then if I have a little bit left, I just kind of pour it in these and make little small minis.
I almost got you those ones, and instead I ended up getting those at the same.
I got so many of these things. But I have certain molds that I only use for the soap, and then other molds that I only use for the resin. So I don't pour my soap in my resin molds because that's chemicals.
Oh, okay. So don't do that then.
Yeah, I don't mix those too.
That's smart because I would not have known that.
This I get from the health foods. Restaurant supply. There's 1,000 in here. These are just those little wax deli sheets. Oh, and when I pop my soaps out, I just lay this on the counter.
My soap was wrapped in there. Okay.
Pop it right on there. Yep. Wrap it up and throw the label on there.
I wondered where you got those cool wrappers. That was pretty clever.
Yeah, this is just the little restaurant deli sheets that they use for sandwiches and stuff at the
I didn't even know they had those. I don't pay attention, I guess, to that stuff very well. That was very, very clever, actually. That's awesome because it doesn't stick to it either. It's like comes right off. So I know you have some other really great things for skin soothing, great ideas, concepts of things that you've made. The soap was a great one. And I'm thinking we should try to move through this
easy one
so that you can leave all the other concepts because you got some great ones.
Well, the soaps, like I said, with the essential oils, that's the easy one. When you start talking about mixing in dry ingredients like I do sometimes, it's like that's a little bit more challenging. So you don't want to do that until you're like more comfortable with it.
Right.
But then the other thing that I make is the salves, which I just showed you, the Beauty Berry insect repellent. That stuff.
That's awesome.
Oh my God. Well, this guy ordered $100 worth of it from me, which basically, let's see, I do the 4-ounce containers are $10, and then the 2-ounce containers that I do of the salves, it doesn't matter which one it is, no matter what it is. The 2 ounces are $5, the 4 ounces are $10. And
that's awesome.
And it doesn't matter whether it's an essential oil or whether it's beauty berry leaves or whether it's
straight across the board.
I just try to keep it just flat price for whatever, you know what I mean?
Simple. That's better.
Yeah, and it makes my life easier too because I don't have
to. Everyone else's because like it's a guessing game. I mean, like you go to Walmart, you look at their lotions, like, well, this one has hydroxy, whatever, and this one has. So the price difference is here, there, and yonder, and yours is all organic, number one. Number two, it is very simple because you don't have to guess like, oh, should I buy this one? But I really like that one. That one's probably more. It's like it's straight across the board. And it makes everyone's life easy, including ours especially. But I think it's such a good price too. You can't go to Walmart and get one soap.
And the
soap, good soap.
And the soaps, I do sell those all for $5 a piece, and that's the reason. The reason why I do that is because I do my booth at Bike Week and Biketoberfest,
right?
And I just don't want to deal with a bunch of ones, so it just makes life easier. And a lot of times, like I said, I pour the little extras in the little heart molds or whatever. If somebody comes in there, especially if I like them, or I mean, whatever, it's like, oh, here, just take this, take another one, here, take these freebies, So
they'll be back next year, especially when it's Biketoberfest, because I was a biker for many years.
And they bring their friends. And that charcoal activated soap, I don't know if I ever told you the story. This guy bought some from me one year. This was like several years ago. And he came back after he went home and he used it. He came back. He's like, I'll take all the rest of it. So he bought everything. Awesome. And then he said to me, he's like, actually, I need to order a year's supply from you. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, what do you want? A year's supply? And he's like, I need a year's supply. I was like, well, I don't know how many baths you take a month,
Take my steak, real bad stanky man.
You have to tell me how many bars you want, okay? And then we can go from there.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Your supply, well, I mean, if it was me, it might be only 12, but you, on the other hand. So that's crazy, though.
Yeah. So what was it he bought? I think he bought like 40 bars at $5 a bar, So
that's awesome. And not only that, like, how much those ingredients are not cheap. I'm sorry, because when Candy was trying to teach me what to do, how to do it, I went out and bought it, and I did try it. By the way, mine never turned out as pretty as yours. Not even one. They smell good, but they didn't turn out very pretty at all. And those freebies you call freebies, I pretty much had to use them as rodent, like anything that was running across my yard that wasn't like a domesticated animal. I was throwing them at them just to see if I could hit it. So mine were not pretty. That's a joke, actually, but kind of. But mine were not pretty. But yours were just like gorgeous. But it wasn't cheap to make those. But the fact that you sell them for what they are, it's not like you're really turning profit on that. Even it's just like literally more so goodness of your heart, and what. Trial and error, what works and what doesn't. And the fact that these things are natural, number one. Number two, we need to get back to the basics. That's where we should have always been, was back to the basics, because that's when our world was a better place, a different place, a healthier place. And the thing is, we forgot that basic somehow became a bad word, but basics are what we need and are essential for survival. And apparently you made that salve that you were talking about. The mosquitoes here in Texas are freaking the size of dragons. So they about can carry your butt away real quick. And if it wasn't for the freaking ginormous June bugs that bat at the gigantic mosquitoes, which I told you I got dropped by the mosquito because the June bug ate the mosquito. It's a total joke. But I mean, they're huge. They say everything's bigger than in Texas. They ain't lying. Well, except for their man. That's debatable. That was a bad joke. Anyway, so, I mean, they're giant here. So that salve that you made, you just told me recently was working really well for repellent, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's so a lot of people would be interested in hearing.
Yeah, I should read that thing from Paul. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. I have it up here, too. You want me to read it or you got it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because so Candy got this wonderful compliment on her page from... Believe it or not, just what we call normal human beings, not associated with Morgellons, or I mean, maybe somewhat familiar because he's got a great neighbor like Candy that will like, this is how it is. But she had given him some of her soaps, like the leftover soaps that she had. Like she said, she likes you. She's gonna give you some of that. Well, I guess this guy had held on to it, and I've spoken with Paul before. Paul, that neighbor.
Yeah.
Paul.
He had it for about 3 years. He had it for about 3 years.
Right. So the thing about him is, like, he's a very smart, intelligent guy, and not someone that I would think would be like too willing to, just from the moments that I spoke with, too willing to like really like care whether they're going to try that or not. Pretty healthy, doesn't really need it, right? But he has a grass allergy, apparently. So hold on, Kenny, I'm like getting there. Okay, so anyways, I guess he got to cutting his grass, right? Itching really bad.
Yeah.
You tell that part, and I'm just going to read it.
Oh, so he has an allergy to cut grass, fresh cut grass. So he mowed his grass the other day and he winded up breaking out with a rash and itching all over. So that was what went in the closet looking for some soap. So anyway, I'll let you read that.
Okay, so it says, the heck did I do that for? I was trying to hold my hair out of my face. That was dumb. I need those. That's how I see. Okay, it says, so you know I never post anything on your wall, but just got to tell you and everyone who looks at your wall, this amazing thing just happened. As you know, I have an allergy to grass, especially when it is fresh cut. Well, 3 days ago, I cut my lawn, and that night started to get itchy. The next day, I was broken out with a rash and itchy dots everywhere. So day 1, rash spreads, and I start tearing my skin and scratching it. Day 2, my skin is red, itchy, hurts. Showers don't help. In fact, they sting because my skin is torn up from scratching. Day 3, I go to get in the shower and I see I need soap. So I look in the closet and find one of the sample soaps that it says you gave me, which means which Candy gave him. I unwrap and I start washing. I notice my skin was still stinging from the water hitting me, but the itch was getting lesser as I washed. When I was finished, I looked at the wrapper the soap was in, and it was your clove soap. So clove soap, keep that in mind. So now while I'm sitting here writing this, I'm still red with dots, but I have no itch. I think it must be the eugenol oil acting as a numbing agent, but I just thought I would let you know. Feeling excited. I think that's amazing. That's like really cool for like someone that I wouldn't think would even really be interested in trying, So that like that's a compliment and a half on top of the fact that he didn't have that itching anymore. It was just like it was a numbing agent. So, it might be red, but if you think about it, that must have been the clove must have been drawing the toxins from his skin, because the itching and the sting all come from the toxins of whatever your allergy is. That's something that's not agreeing with your bodily makeup and chemical aspect. So it obviously drew the toxins, because you're still going to have a remainder of red itchy no matter what, because if the skin's irritated, it's irritated. I don't care if I'm allergic to something or I just like brush up against a freaking fence and I get a scratch, my skin will be red on the outside of that scratch. Not that I'm allergic to that scratch, but I'm red. So his skin to me sounds like it's, the reason it remained a little red was because the skin was already irritated, which is your dermal level. But if he has no itch, somehow that clove removed those toxins. And I think that's pretty incredible. And hello, Trish Munoz. I just saw this. Sweetie Pie. I just now saw that. Sorry, and I'm terrible because I can't read, and my googly eyes don't even help barely. Wait, hold on. Can you see me now? Yeah, I see you. I'm just kidding. But I think that's pretty incredible. And the fact that your neighbor, who's a lovely, lovely gentleman, I think that's awesome. That right there says everything. So stuff you can do, guys. You can do.
Well, and another thing too that's been going on with me here lately, I don't know if I told you, but I mean, I've been like seeing people that I haven't seen in a few years, and well, me and my husband will be in the grocery store and we'll run into somebody and they're like, "Oh my God, your skin looks amazing. You look great." And it's like, I've been getting so many compliments. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like people cannot even believe. And, I told you about the one guy I hadn't seen in quite a few years. And he's like, "Oh my God, you're still alive?" He's like, "Last time I saw you, you look like you were going to die any second. I can't believe. Look at you. You look great." And he's telling everybody, "This girl, y'all have no idea what she went through, And it's just, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Candy, I can't even hardly look at you, and every time I look at her, it's like she's glowing. She's like incredibly beautiful, but you always were. But I mean, like I don't like you. You look amazing, and like you said, if people asked you forever, what did you do? How did you do that? And I think the truest part of that which I'm not going to lie, the organic soaps and stuff most certainly help relieve and heal. But what I think that you said, the biggest part that resonates with me, and even myself, because I've noticed with myself, the less you think about it, the busier you stay, the more that you don't give it your thought, don't feed the evil what it doesn't deserve, your mind, don't rip the space, the quicker you do heal. Somehow, some way, it's true. We're not claiming that it goes away. We don't have the answers, but I'll tell you what, they're right there. Candy Nelson's living proof that, you guys asked her, like, well, how'd you do it? What'd you do? She told you. She's like, I didn't do anything other than I didn't have time to think about it anymore. And I think that's 100%. Don't feed the beast, guys. Don't feed the beast, I think, right?
Yeah, I did a lot of praying, and I was like, okay, God, I just want to see the other side of this.
Power in prayer, and don't feed the beast, because we know the beast comes in many shapes and forms. The beast being the devil, demon, Satan, whatever you want to call it, I know what the beast is without a doubt. There's a heaven, there's a hell. It's real as can be. Nobody will ever change my mind, because once you have Morgellons, once you see the world through new eyes, and the real eyes that make you realize, without a doubt that there's both places. You realize the things that are happening to your body that are deceiving and make you turn away from you and do mean, hurtful things by saying you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. You know that thing happening to you is the beast. It's not because you did anything to deserve that beast. The beast works very hard, and on overtime, Satan is that beast. He's got to work overtime, and he works overtime on the people that are strong-willed. I mean, think about it. Why would he have to work very hard on anyone else if they're already willing to go that way, right? Take his hand, like, let's go, walk that way. You don't have to take their hand. They're just going to go. They're just like, I'm totally willing. Let's go. But seemingly, in my opinion, on the prepper side, it's not just prepping for the body and what makes your skin feel better. That is very important, but we got to prep our souls. And your soul
and our minds, our minds.
Soul, your mind, body, and soul. You got to prep those. And sometimes you don't have to do anything but give it to God. Give it to God. Don't feed the beast, and just realize that no matter how it turns out, that plan was already written. Nobody says it's going to be comfortable. Maybe it's going to be very comfortable for some, but maybe not. That's our connection there. We all seemingly have all hit rock bottom somewhere along the way, right? All of us has had something really, really bad happen, or really earth-shaking or mind-blowing, or stuff that just shouldn't happen to people, or stuff that we just don't know where it came from, but it shook our earth so much that it felt like we slammed into the bottom of it so hard that when we came to, we were different people. We were literally eyes wide open, and heart, soul, mind, all of it was different. We were different people after that. And that is the one connection, I promise you, between every single one of us that is fighting with Morgellons disease. And I think the whole world is fighting it. They don't realize it. But the ones that realize that they have it, that's the one connection, is that we have had, maybe not the whole rough life. Most of us, there's a lot of you, not me. I was fortunate. I didn't have a rough life. But we either hit a point in our life that was rock bottom, and everything, it just bottomed out, and everything that held us up let us down. Or we had some things happen along the way, which, I could say for that, but we could be like Candy or Trish, or so many, Sheila, Renee, so many have had a whole lifetime span of ups and downs, but more downs than ups. And that's a connection between us, because a lot of people are like, are you RH negative or RH positive or this or that and the other? That is not a connection, because our bloodlines all come, say an angel on one shoulder, a devil on the other. There's a reason for that, because we all have the thinning blood running through our veins. It just is. You go back to the ancient ones, the Anunnaki, the Kufel, whatever you want to call them. In the Native Americans say best. We have that in us, right? But our commonality is we we're being worked on by Satan so hard, because when we hit that rock bottom, he knew we're warriors. He's like, dang, that slam to the ground didn't even make me stop. They're still going. And guys, I want you guys to remember that, because you're still going. And you've been slammed to the ground. And Saint's sitting there like scratching his head. He's like, what can I do next? That's because he is afraid of you. You don't be afraid of anything. He's afraid of you. But don't forget that. In the meantime, use your greens, right? Use your greens, make your soaps. And look at the beautiful skin that you can get out of it. And the skin, what I admire about you, Candy, is your skin might look wonderful and beautiful and glow. But you know what resonates with me is how I can see your soul through your skin. I mean, you radiate from the inside out, and that's something to be spoken for. I mean, I've seen some models that are like, wow, you airbrush up really nice. But Candy, you don't even have to be airbrushed. You can radiate from the inside out. And all of you out there, you got a beauty that even there's no way you can replace it, but you can duplicate it if you tried, and Satan knows that. So just keep being his enemy. Let him try as he will. We're going to take some hard knocks, probably a few more. But the thing is, we know how to dust ourselves up and say, not today, Satan. 2 thumbs up except these fingers. That's what I think anyway. Actually, I know.
Okay.
You know.
So, give the rundown on the salves now.
I love it. And I think that it's something you guys can all do. And Candy, I still have like a big block of the wax left too on that part. So I'm thinking that I'm going to do it, but I need you here to help me. So when are you coming this way? Just tell me when. So seriously, I literally would love to sit in the kitchen with you and figure out how you do these things. I mean, it's just, I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And the hair, with the borax and the shampoo. Share that one more time, because I think that's a great thing to share.
Oh,
I mean,
well, I had the biofilm really thick in my scalp for years. It was like a thick layer of cradle cap on my scalp, and I mean, I wouldn't even get a paring knife, lice combs. I was doing everything to try to and put oil on my scalp, everything. Nothing was breaking it up. I started putting 20-year-old team borax in my tea tree and mint shampoo and mixed them together and started washing my head with it. All that biofilm is gone. I don't have the creepy crawly feeling in my hair ever. I don't get fibers in my hair, that stay. Like whenever I comb my hair, I can look at it and I don't have all the Morgellons fibers in there that I used to. It was just full. It used to be full of Morgellons fibers. Now they're not even there anymore. And my hair, after I wash it, like before, I would wash it, put cream rinse in there and blow dry it. And no sooner than I got it blow dried, it was like I never even washed it for like 6 months. So it was just gross and disgusting. And I was like, why can't I get my hair to come clean? I started using that borax and my hair was soft and it's beautiful. It feels good. I'm like, and it's clean. I don't have all that.
You know what I love about you though? You notice how because you are clear on the outside, look at how lovely you are on the inside too. You've always been, but I mean, it's radiating. Like that's probably a big portion too, your outlook,
Well, yeah, and
just love that it radiates all over.
Well, and it even helps, like I was saying, when me and my husband are out somewhere and people notice and they say something, and he's like, yeah, he gets it because he's seen. And
it creates a happiness too, I think,
he's proud.
He's very intent with what you believe in, and you're totally your identity is confirmed, and there's no one that's going to mistake that. And by the way, Trish, I am reading your stuff right now. Love you, love you, love you, and you always have such good things to add. And she's always authentic. And if you guys ever get a chance, you should go. Be friends with her on Facebook. Go to her channels. I mean, she keeps it real, and sometimes it's raw and rough because that's what we are. Because if we can't all be that way, then we got some more learning to do. Because the thing is, we should be able to be true to ourselves and be able to live in our own skin. And also, that helps us heal, and we deserve to heal. And I'll be damned if the world holds us back, because not today, Satan, not tomorrow, and not anytime. And that goes for all those that chose to follow him. Like, you can't win. Candy's living proof. She's battled this for years, but she's just like, you know what I did? What I did nothing. I gave it to God. I moved forward. And yeah, we still have battles. She's still got battles, but you know what? Look at her outlook and how that shines from her. And I mean, it makes a huge difference. You know, it's like, who wouldn't envy that?
And I tell you, you remember when I was telling you, like, even after my skin got better, my lesions got better, and I was kind of feeling like I was lost. I didn't know who I was or what I was supposed to be doing. I felt like I've been in a coma for years and didn't know anything, or just would walk around in circles and like never accomplish anything. I'm going to tell you, like, my husband would be at work all day and I would be here by myself, and spend all day long to bring my skin like 8, 10, 12 hours. And by the time he got home, I mean, internally, yes, I'm depressed. I'm trying to not show it. But he's done worked outside all day and hot and tired, and he comes home and I hadn't even cooked anything. And there was still dirty dishes in the kitchen that I wasn't able to get in there and clean because I couldn't walk, or I couldn't.
Hard, yes.
And
I still struggle with that because the job is demanding. But then how do you do it? It's hard, It's like I totally know.
And yeah, I didn't even have a job is the point, but my job was trying to get rid of all the crap that was coming out of my
head. If I could count the times I was on the floor looking at the debris that fell off of me, or it's like trying to study through a microscope, this, that, and the other, which I still do. I am so guilty of it. I mean, why not? I totally, it's hard. It's so hard. You guys, you deserve not just a Medal of Honor, a Medal of Humanity, literally. And Trish, you were just, Candy, I'm going to run this by you too, because I know what she's talking about, because lately, especially, talking about some of the hairs that look like almost like there's tar attached, or like what you see a guitar string or a piano string. So, because I have a question for you. Yeah, well, that too. But I think, like, lately, I've noticed these just almost, they look like, you ever seen a guitar string? He called it a piano wire. It looks like wires, but there's almost like rivets in it.
Remember when I told you about the one I pulled out of here? It was like fishing line, and I was like, it was so thick, and I'm like,
yeah. With me, that's been lately a lot. And keep in mind, I'm on now and not well water. With my move, I had all sorts of fibers and the dust from the move that I had to come in contact with. I sit on my car seat, which are leather, by the way. I wear shorts. The backs of my legs, my arms, where any sweat or whatever are welted up. But it's not just like, oh, it's just from sweat, because there's stuff weird, strange, like Trish was describing, the spirally type. Some of them look like she said, piano wire. There's rivets or coils or spirals. I can't even explain it, but I know what she's talking about, because that stuff's coming from the backs of my legs, my neck, my hair, like my head. Like, it's been more than I've ever seen, but I never saw it like that when I was living on well water. I'm starting to coordinate these things. I live in the city now. I'm having to drink city water, and pay for it. So I'm having to pay to be poisoned, which, yeah, 2 thumbs up. Who wouldn't want to do that? Like, thank you, because I love it. Thank you. And I hope, and I know there's like people out there like, fluoride's good for you though. Shut up. Did the Indians have fluoride? No. Politically correct. Did the Native Americans have fluoride? Was it in their water? Because I'm pretty sure if you go look at any grave that's been dug up, from even over 1,000 years ago, every one of their tooths, their little teepees there, they're all in their head, all of them, and they're beautiful teeth. What I would not give to have those. So, I want to hear about the fluoride or the city water. I'm gonna say also has a lot of culprits. What is that? Okay, yeah, that's a good example.
Spiral fibers that I told you about that I had.
A good example, but the ones I think, a lot of the ones I'm talking about, I've had those plenty. But these are like really like cords. They're like thick, no breaks in them, but rivets or I don't know. But oh, she says like that fishing line is what went up right side of my face. Okay, so she felt that fishing. I feel it when I pull it. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Like I can't even tell you. Like I always think, oh, I've seen it all, right? And then isn't it funny how the next day it's something like just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, it does, or any crazier or more weird, or strange, but it does. Yeah. Yes. I think I'm gonna try to show you really quick what. Well, here's a little example, and keep in mind that's on my hardwood floor, but this was recent. Now I know it looks huge, so I love how some people are like, "That's huge. That how could something that big come out of you?" Okay, I gotta laugh when people say that because first of all, I could do this, make it really small, or I could be in this video with my finger next to it, which might be like a quarter that size, or I could zoom in and make it really big. So people always try to judge by size, right? Well, that's so close to that, yeah. But so this was like the size of like half of my pinky now. So don't go by just because I have a 13 Pro and it's a huge screen. Was it that size? Okay, so don't be dumb. Use your head. It wasn't that big ever, but it's that big. Yeah.
See that?
You
Looks
know,
like
I get a lot of like the number 22s a lot of in my skin, even 22, 22. 22s and rocks, 22s in the wall. But I think is that more face work? Because right now,
try to like.
yeah. So that's I see the little. I can barely see the black cord. Are you talking about the black cord coming off of it?
No, I'm talking about. Hold on, let me try to turn the lamp on.
Okay, because I can't tell. I mean, it looks like the cuts that are the lesions that we get. This was last night. Orbs that come to my house every night. Yeah. Oh, look. Can you see that at all? See this hard line? That whole thing is from. It's about I'd say an inch and a quarter, but like it is. It looks like that was that whole line on that. God, this thing is raised like so raised up. I can't even tell you. It's that long and it's completely raised up. And it just came this summer when I started drinking city water and moved from the country mess to the city mess. And I'm so excited. I can't wait to have any more bulges and stupid shit coming out of my body. I love it. Totally lying. So. But it's okay, guys. It's okay because, again, Satan's like, oh, you're flesh and blood. Oh, I can break you down.
This is a wild one. Look at that monster.
I get the Google in.
You see that?
Oh, girl, that's the one I told you. Yes, those strange. They look like mine looked like a cockabur that would be bundled up and then it unrolled and it looked just like that. That's nuts because you had
wildest spiders I ever had. Let me find it.
Oh my most fabulous special one.
I told you.
Right on my face hole here.
Oh, come on.
I mean, that was like the best day ever when that fell out of my freaking neck face. I was like, it was the weirdest thing. I was like, that's huge. Shut up. Just shut up again and start using your noggin. It looks huge because I'm zoomed in, genius, but it was about the size of half of my pinky now. But the damn thing was just like, I'm having a seizure. I'm having a seizure.
Look at that number 38 on this one. Look at that number 38. I'm trying to see.
I can't. It's not focusing. Go like maybe. Oh, you showed me that one before. It's still not showing up though. Try to go close again. And hold it just as flat. There you go. Keep it flat and come back over. I've seen that before. Yeah. Yes. And see, there's the 38 right there. That's what I experienced this week on my own. So you guys tell me, how does that even happen? Like, but like I said, Satan is a freaking clever little creepy ass thing, whatever, but he ain't gonna win. I mean, we know
it came out of my arm. It's like pink and purple and green, and look at there.
See, it's just mind blowing, right? And yes, I had okay, here's a funny little story. I went to Oregon last year. It's like I've been recently after that, but I went to Oregon a year and a half ago, and I had that kind of the same exact thing, but it was more shaped like a rock, like a pebble that came from my arm actually. And this thing was black. It falls on the ground. I felt stupid because my daughter walks out that I came to visit, and I'm sitting there videoing this rock on the ground. I'm sure she's like, what is she doing? She is psycho. Thank God we turned her in when we did. Why didn't they keep her? I'm sure they're thinking that, right? But this thing mutated and turned it like the black and white stripes, things like you just showed me. I put it next to a rock, and then it turned the rock's color. I put it next to like a black and white area thing, and it turned black and white. So the thing had the qualities of, I mean, we've got squids that literally blend with their environments. We've all seen the flippin' Predator movie, right? I have seen the Predator all around us because these things blend with their environment, whether it be in our bodies or in the sky and massive microscopic Predator. They blend with their environment. I swear they do. And I don't care what anyone says. Call me crazy. You're going to have to answer for it later, but I'm telling you, we are all dealing with some stuff that can't be explained. We could show pictures all day long. Many of us have very, very similar items. Some of it's completely never shared or experienced it, but the thing is, it shouldn't be happening. Shouldn't be happening, and here we are dealing with it. So I was trying to find the one with my letters recently. It was more like hieroglyphics, but it just doesn't. Nothing makes sense, you know. And I try to make sense out of it. And sometimes I think, even like with the beehive and the beeswax and how it makes the hexagons, there is something to be said for that. There really is. Trish says, going to switch to Facebook to show you the pic I got. Yes, numbers are extremely important. I had symbols in red laser lines come up in insides of my arms. And that's the one thing I've noticed on a lot of people. Insides of arms, I had one here. It's usually letters, numbers, and a lot of 33s, 1111s, like my friend Sharon and I both experienced the 1111. I didn't ever experience that for the longest time. She did. I was like, wow, that's crazy. She'd show me like these things. They were like sequential numbers and not sequential, but I mean, definitely like, what do you call it? Not sequential. What am I talking about? It's Morgellons talking. What do you call it? When it happens all the time, not sequential, but come on, somebody help me out here. Synchronicity. So there's synchronicity. So like you ever look at a receipt and you see either your birthday numbers or numbers 1111 or 333s or 22s or 44s. But I mean, not just once because we've all seen the numbers.
Mine's 1234. My whole life, 1234.
So everywhere you look, whether it's a receipt or a dollar bill with a serial number, right? Or you're driving down the road, there's an address, and all of a sudden you look at the address and that's 1234 or whatever. That's kind of, damn it. I have somebody calling me, sorry. I'm not working anymore. Shh, go away. Anyways, it's always 33s, 1111s now for me. But for a long time, I had dollar bills, $5 bills, whatever, and I could look at the serial number, and it wouldn't matter where I go to Taco Bell, I go home, or I go to Walmart, or go to the fair. It didn't matter where I went. I'd get back in 22s and 44s. There was always 2 2s and 4 4s in every single bill for a month straight. And it wasn't from one place. It was like different places for a month. No matter where I went, my bills would have those 2 sequential numbers side by side in them, always.
Yeah, and 333 in order. It's either 1234, 123, 134.
Yeah.
4321.
The other thing that we all share, and it's not just Morgellons people, because like I said, Morgellons is just a very small piece of the puzzle. I know we have a podcast on it, but I mean, we got to start somewhere with everybody. This is very small. This is part of an awakening, but the numbers are being experienced like people see the 333s or their birthdays, right? Okay, so there's people that don't even know about Morgellons, don't have any lesions, never, like there's nothing going on with them on that level, but they see, say, UFOs, or they have saw Bigfoot. Anyone that's experienced a supernatural level also has the commonality of the numbers that they see that have meaning or influence to some level. The 333s and the 1111s is the most common one. A lot of times your birthday is another, you'll see your birthday numbers, like my 624, you know, or like Candy said, a lot of people see that, but there's, the other thing is they're all awake. We're all awake or somewhat awake because your awakening, Morgellons, is just part of your awakening. It's actually probably the first part of your awakening because it's not, that's how I know it's not really of man because the rabbit hole goes way deeper than that. In fact, the rabbit hole was never even centered around Morgellons. It just happened to be part of it. Happened to be part of your awakening at the moment, part of the awakening. But there's a big, larger picture coming. I promise you. So I know when somebody's sitting here and you're focused on Morgellons, and I'm not trying to scare you, but just wait. You're going to see game stopping factors for the new ones. That will come into play. You're going to see the UFO factor, the unidentified factor. That'll come into play. For some of us, not me yet, you'll see the Bigfoot factor, the ghost factor, the supernatural, or the man, the shadow man, the shadow person that stands at your bed. It's got the big hat on. It's wearing a hat and always a shadow figure. Or the Mothman, whatever.
I had sleep paralysis once, and I saw that guy in the black.
And that's a very common. And the thing is, nobody knows one another. But I have so many different accounts of people seeing this that have never met. Will tell almost an identical story. People I know would never lie. Now, I myself have not seen it, but I had a foster sister that slept in my bed with me at night when I was 8. She was 16. And she used to wake me up. She's like, do you see him? Do you see him? And she'd elbow me. And I'd be like, what? And she's like, the guy at the end of our bed, he's a shadow. He's wearing a trench coat. He's got a dark hat. He's right there. He's a shadow, but you can see his silhouette. I refused to look. I'm not going to lie. I was 8, 9. I was like, nope, don't see him. Going back to bed. I'm like in my strawberry shortcake little nightgown. I'm like, I'm going to sleep. But I mean, I never forgot that. And then as I got older, I heard other people tell similar stories about the shadow people or the shadow men or the grays. The grays are even one of those things, not the shadow, but they're all different supernatural things that cannot be explained. But the stories have been told for centuries. Therefore, they are true because people don't know each other. They're telling their stories. I haven't experienced the grays. Maybe I have. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I've lost time. I don't know. But the thing is, there's something in our lives that's happened that's real, and we're awake for a reason. And Morgellons is just that little bit of a speck of it. It's not anything as compared to what's bigger, which is our spiritual warfare that we're going through right now.
You just reminded me about that art piece that my granddaughter did.
I'm telling you, girl, whenever I saw that, my foster sister had a very similar picture of that. I'm not kidding. I actually shared it because I had my foster sister drew something like that with the arms coming out and see, now I used to scribble and make those black scribbly lines that you see under her bed. I did that forever. But my foster sister drew those arms coming up and little girl hiding her head. So I'm telling you, it's mind blowing, but you can't make the stuff up, guys. Okay, go closer with it because they really need to get the full effect of it. So
that is supposed to be her laying in the bed, curled up with a pillow over her head.
I mean, that my foster sister did too. Trish says, I don't want to think that shadow people are always supernatural. I have had them grab me. They're corporal, some sort of cloaking. Well, I guess that's what I was getting at. I think all of it is nanotechnology that is capable of manifesting itself in a biological way in any shape. We were just talking about rocks or things that come out of ourselves, multicolors, or can shapeshift into something else. How much different is that than the Bigfoot someone sees and the next day it's a gray and the next thing you know, it is a ghost or whatever, shadow man. I mean, I think that this is all, it could be supernatural. I mean, it's supernatural to us if we don't have it. But I mean, I think that these things are a cluster of nanotechnology, whether it's been from ancient times or our own times, and we had to learn it somewhere, so maybe there, maybe not. But they make these forms, and they can just be what they want to be, which is why I used the example of the predator earlier. Can blend with its environment because it has the capabilities to do so, and I believe it's a cluster of, some call them morgue buses, Morgellons clusters, or just basically particles of nanotechnology. But I mean, there is a crazy, crazy, crazy supernatural portion to this, because why it hits us right here is what tells me that that's relevant. Because if I say spiritual warfare and it comes from my lips, it's not because I just thought of it and it like, might be. It's because that's what I'm feeling. Spiritual warfare. It's crazy. But it is so bizarre how, I mean, it's just crazy how it happens and comes about for all of us. And it's different. None of us are alike. Different walks, different talks, different things led us down the roads we've gone. Some maybe not at first, not so much later, or some had a hard life from the get-go and then, you know, changed around. It doesn't really matter. We're all different. But the thing is, the commonality is we all face planted into the ground at one point in time or another. Not because it was our choice, but because it happened to us. And Satan takes advantage of that really quick. And I full-fledged, it's not even that I believe it. It's something like the words were just put in my heart and mouth and mind and soul. I never even had to guess. And like whether it was good or evil or man or this or that, I never even really had to guess. I mean, I knew my body was spitting it out. From the second I got it, I never thought, oh no, this is so bad. I was like, what a blessing. I'm spitting bad shit out. It was like it was just planted in my heart immediately. Not even a thought of, could this be bad? Am I just because I'm bad? I never even thought of it like that. It's like, thank God, I'm spitting all the toxins that's been fed to us for freaking too long, probably thousands of years, down the generations. I'm spitting them out through my skin, because what do we do with piercings that we get sometimes? We spit them out. What do you think? Like, well, people that do drugs, they spit the toxins out. Well, what do you think when you drug the Morgellons or alcohol them too much? You spit the toxins out. Or what do you do when your body just doesn't mesh with them? You spit the toxins out. Or when you hit rock bottom, you spit the toxins out. So I don't care what rock bottom you have to hit. Thank God you hit that rock bottom, because you're spitting the bad stuff out. So, I mean, I can't say it any different than that's what I know. You are spitting out. Thank God, because look around at the stupid. That was not nice. That apparently I have a little bad stuff left in my body because I just called everyone stupid that wasn't. That kind of meant it. It's part of me. But I mean, look at all the people around us that torture us and say, like, you're crazy, you're cray-cray. No, we're not. The problem is there's a little bit of cray-cray left in them, and that's because that toxin is still within them. Because in the real world, where we used to live back in the day when people were kind, loving, giving, and, you know, they had the sentiments or emotional support or, you know, empathy and sympathy, and they had that back in the day because we all were aware of that at one time. And the fact that they don't now, and that they will just, your whole family, anyone's like, will be just the first to cast you to the wolves immediately, take her away. Don't want to see her, never know her, not mine, don't even know where she's going to go, don't care anymore. They're doing that. How much do you think that they have toxicity in their bodies to do something so cruel and evil?
I love what Trish said. I love what Trish said. She said, I think it's a gift that we woke up to this. Even as I sit here in agony, I'm grateful for knowing about it.
That's what I just said. Exactly. It's like we met each other. We are grateful because we're spitting the bad stuff out. But Trish, that's what I love about you, because there is a bright. And you know, there was a time when I was like, poor me.
Listen, hey,
look now. I can't stand it anymore. I can't do it.
I got 10 years on my bladder, so I got to go.
Well, actually, we need to go anyway. So I'm going to say goodnight, because I have to go, because I got someone in the living room right now, my daughter, her boyfriend, and some others. So
yeah, my bladder is fine.
We're going to sayonara, guys, but I love you. And Trish, I'm so glad you're here, and thank you for being here. And I know we have 5 viewers.
We still have to give the rundown on the salve another time. So we didn't talk about
we will, for sure. So, like I said, first heal your heart, though, right?
Yeah, and then prepared. I'll have some of the supplies with me and show you.
What's that?
I said I'll be better prepared when we talk about the salve. I'll actually have my molds and the things with me so I can show them.
And that, yes. And we've talked about a few things too, and they're putting them together too. So, but yeah, pamper yourselves too. So, love you guys. Bye, Candy. I'm going to go empty my bladder soon.
Good night, Trish.
Bye. You guys have a good night. Good weekend.